All right, we are live. What's up, everybody? This is session 2 of A Curse Reborn. We have titled this one, The Forgotten Secrets. We start this session off not on the mountaintop where we left off with the group, but instead we see a hard-worn monolithic tower that stands strenuously nearby a lake that is as still as glass. This lake mirrors the blackness of the night sky. The tower itself is nearly camouflaged by the many grabbing branches of the forest that it is tucked in. We see a single window high up in this tower, and it's flickering. It's at this point that we notice in the forest is a creeping presence. It watches the window and begins to float up in the sky and become level with it. And it starts to drift into the window. And we get this glance inside, and what we see is a clustered, disorganized rooms of trinkets, treasure, perhaps junk. It's hard to discern what exactly is flung around this room, but as the invisible presence starts to slowly drift in through the window, it comes across a crossbow on the floor. The locking mechanism of this crossbow is broken. The age of it is clearly seen. It's starting to deteriorate. Next, we cross by a silver cross with a gold sun attached to it, rimming around the cross itself. It's tilted, hanging on a dusty wall. The gaseous invader now focuses on a figure that's looming over top of a cradled or a candled desk. This shadow figure is hard to discern. The only details we can make out is an old wrinkled hand which is scribbling vigorously into this leather-bound tome. Almost angrily, he dips his quill into the ink vial, and as he lifts it out, blotches of this black ichor start to drip on the desk itself. Lingering now, this unseen force. It's against the wall. It silently draws closer. It passes by a broken artifact, a jeweled and crested sun necklace, once known by some as the symbol of Ravenkind. The man stops writing. He feels a climbing presence down his spine. The white hairs on his frail old arm start to stand up, and with an efforted yet speedy movement, he reaches to a nearby cane and draws forth this blade that is hidden in the cane. He turns around as a gust of wind blows into him and lets out a battle cry as the candle is blown out. Darkness. Van Richten's shadow is illuminated by now the only light source, that is the moon coming from the window. He waits. He looks around, breathing heavily. He relights the candle, and he approaches this moonlit windowsill. Looking out into the dark lake, he rests his hand on the windowsill, and a single snowflake slowly drifts down onto his hand. He looks out into the night, the blackness, the sky, and shuts the wooden panels of the window, returning to his desk, where he was currently writing something. He looks down at this book and he studies it. What is written there is not familiar to him. He remembers writing, and at this late point in his age, it starts to happen to him more and more. His consciousness wanders and starts to blur with his unconsciousness, but yet he looks at this passage that he just freshly carved into these pages, almost as if tearing the book itself. It's deeply embedded into the page itself, and what he reads is, how does one destroy a monster without becoming one? A cold presence peeks inside the tower window one last time before we leave this crazed old man's and his writings. The snow begins to fall heavier and heavier, engulfing this tower in its entirety, blanking it out with complete whiteness. It's burying it in the time of these moments that have passed long ago. And we start whipping through the sky over top a mountain many years later and very far away. we now see a rocky mountain peak, which reaches high into the sky, even passing the clouds itself, as if challenging those foolish enough to climb to these heights where only gods are supposed to dwell. A heavy snow drift has blown down the mountain before whipping into the faces of 5 heavily cloaked figures now covered in ice. They are but 5 small flecks on this pure snowy white canvas. Many miles behind them, we see several patches of bright red seeping into snows and a smoldering fire that has been tucked beneath a rocky ridge. We see several cat-like monstrosities laying lifeless, bleeding into the icy ground. We now start to trail these long footsteps which carry on for miles up this white canvas, and we find the group themselves wandering, isolated on top of this barren mountain. Hours passing as the cold, icy wind and the numbness of their limbs is the only company they have. The first one we come to see the face of is Kogrom. And what's on his mind?
You can see just like the wrinkles etched into his face like stone from years of worrying and thinking about the worst case scenario. And right now the worst case scenario is not finding any shelter, like true shelter, not just a rocky overhang in the middle of a blizzard. So he would be kind of like retracing his memory, trying to think of landmarks to guide the group to this temple.
And as you're looking around, you see a presence that's actually a couple feet ahead of you. This young girl that you met on the mountainside, Sophia. She claims to be of Clan Kelroth, part of your clan, once you thought extinct besides yourself. You've now met this girl. Perhaps it's fate, perhaps it's something else. You look at her as she's kind of leading the way. She too knows that to be caught out on this mountaintop without proper haven would be death during night. We kind of look behind him, and next we see Gwent Markov. What is on Gwent's mind?
Gwent is just putting one foot in front of the other out of numbness at this point, just habit of walking for hours, and the fight against those. He almost wishes to be fighting the crag cats again at this point. Battle, but at least he felt the heat of the moment and the adrenaline surge through him and goes with battle. Adrenaline wore off and hard time within a flame within himself, just trudging. He's got his face down. He's not looking for land or anything like that. He's just keeping his eyes on the back of boots in front of him, of Kogrom's boots, and silently praying to end soon.
Absolutely. And as that adrenaline has worn off hours ago, and you try to fight off the cold that seems to be encroaching from every possible angle, we see behind you Dieter. And what is he thinking about as he climbs this treacherous mountain cliffside?
Dieter is sort of hunched over with the hood of his cloak up, and he's just sort of kind of like Gwen was, staring at Gwen's boots. But he's just thinking furiously about, what Sophia said, and what she said made sense. If there was a child up here, this child would be dead. And he is desperately trying to think of any possible way that Gabriella could be up here and be alive in this mountain, in this blizzard, or even in this temple that scares even Kogrom of Clan Kelroth, this legendary figure to the Barovian people. He is just shaking, and every now and again he kind of glances around looking for more of those cats that turned his own divine spells against him. But every now and again, he also sort of looks at Gwent's back, and his eyes sort of narrow a little bit. And he sort of shakes his head and then keeps going, almost like he's wrestling with something. But other than that, he is just plodding forward as best he can.
Yes, and as you plot and you try to keep out the dark thoughts about the survival of even the most adept travelers on this mountain, the words of Sophia kind of catch you, even though you try to push them out. The last thing she said before leaving and kind of you guys just trudging along this mountainside is that she gave you her condolences for no child could survive up here. Nonetheless, you push those thoughts out and just focus on the boots ahead of you of Gwent. And in the rear of the group, slowly trudging along, we see Gregor Vance. And what is going through the mind of the eloquent old Gregor as he climbs this mountainside?
Yeah, so in Gregor's mind, he's pretty calm. He's kind of at that point in his life where he doesn't really care too much anymore about what happens to him. He's gotten kind of tired of sitting in his cabin and drinking booze, and that's like what's really brought him back into the fold here and made him want to come out and try and help a little bit, especially as the request of an old friend. So he is he's keeping calm to himself and kind of surveying the surroundings. He definitely doesn't enjoy this at all. Like, he's cold as fuck, and he's like kind of over all the walking in the deep snow. But you know, it's what he's got to do. And like I said before in the last session, is kind of every day that passes for him, he kind of sees more and more how Van Richten was seeking that kind of glorious death. So he's like warming up to that idea, kind of thinking, well, it can't get much worse than this. If I die, at least it'll all be over finally.
Absolutely. And as you think of that, and even think of maybe cursing out loud, like you would normally do to kind of alleviate such situations, even to exhume kind of a voice is too cold. It's as if you open your mouth and the cold seeps in and starts to freeze your mouth. So even that is taken away from you at this moment. The ability to speak even becomes difficult. But as you all trudge along for hours and the sunlight above starts to fade as evening quickly approaches, it's not before long that you find yourself on a shelf of rock which clings to this mountain path. As it does, as you follow it, it begins to grow narrower by the minute. To your left, an icy cliff rises sharply towards the dark rolling clouds above you. And to your right, almost too close for comfort, the ground abruptly sinks into a sea of snow and icy winds. Ahead of you, though, through the wind and the snow, you see a high black stone wall, and it's lined with these dark spikes. It's about 40 feet high, and set in the center of this wall is an opening that is only blocked by a curtain of glowing green flame, a doorway of some kind. The snow has also half buried two broken stone statues. The only thing that you can see is the outline of these stone guardians that have fallen into the snow, once winged demonic creatures that stood atop this wall, watching over those who dared cross this far into the region. You now see broken in large pieces laying on the ground in front of the tower. Their snarling faces and the outlines of their snow-covered wings is all that you can see. And tucked behind this wall, several feet behind, clinging to the cliffside, is a tall, icy, monolithic tower. And it reaches to the dark clouds. Deja vu sweeps over you, Kogrom. A passing feeling. You remember being here once before, but it, for some reason, reminds you of somebody else. You can't really explain it, but you find yourself thinking of Van Richten, the now deceased mentor who passed on his legacy to you. You swallow this sudden burst of emotion, this sadness, as a large dancing snowflake kind of falls down, and you catch your hand open and the snowflake kind of falls on it and you watch it melt away. You drop your hand, though, swallowing this emotion, and think of the trial ahead of you. Your mind clouded much like this snowy horizon in front of you, you remember coming across this wall, this passageway before. The first time you and Malfurion and the tribe were trying to find safe haven from the druids, before approaching the Amber Temple, you found your way to this wall. Malfurion warned you guys that this green flame was a trial for those brave enough to come this far and face the potential evils that lie behind it. As you look at the green flame, you feel a stinging burning. It's been many years ago, decades even, but still looking at that flame, you remember the pain it caused you by passing through it. You remember your tribe of barbarians going through it, and as you go through, you feel everything burning off you, your skin tearing away, burning you to your bones, and coming out to the other side, screaming, falling into snow, just to find yourself badly injured, but not burned at all. You remember one of your tribesmen was having none of that. You remember him calling out, "Fuck that, I'm not going through there, I'm going up above." And he throws a rope up and he starts to climb. And as he gets above, you see those demonic statues come to life and a fight ensues. You catch your tribe fighting these two giant stone demons that have animated themselves to life. The guy who is trying to climb above is grabbed by them and thrown off the mountainside to his doom. The last thing you hear is this screaming for longer than you could ever want to hear a man screaming before it just fades away into nothing. You don't hear the drop. You just hear him scream until you cannot hear him any longer. That's how far he fell. And the battle that ensued between these demonic creatures that were once stone guardians, it costed you a couple of your men. You sit and look at them again, now lying in pieces, and just feel the burning pain that green fire caused you passing through it last time. You see the tower, though, lurking behind it, and know that that tower provides haven. The haven that you guys look for the night. What do you guys do?
This is gonna hurt. Just looking at the flame gate.
What is going to hurt? We have to pass through that. And Dieter points at the green flame, his eyes sort of widening beneath his hood.
He just nods. He's like a giant snowball. His beard is just frozen. His long hair is frozen.
Suppose if we must. You have been here before, yes, Kogrom?
Yes.
Then
We need to go through there.
Then you'd better lead the way, I guess. But should we not try and make camp first, perhaps?
We make camp, we die. Gotta do it tonight, before the sun sets.
All right.
Sophia comes back. Kogrom is right. I know not of this trial, but I know that to try to camp out without the proper protection, we will freeze throughout the night. Whatever pain this fire may bring us cannot be worse than the pain we will suffer by not finding a proper camp.
Yep. Last time someone tried to go over top and woke up some guardians. There, and he points at the half-buried gargoyle-looking guys nearby. We defeated them, but I don't know if they'll come back if you try to circumvent the trial again. That's a risk you can take, but he got dropped off the side. And he just kind of leans over and gestures to the long drop. It isn't fatal going through the fire.
Well, under normal circumstances, I would prefer to battle an enemy rather than push myself through flames. But, and he kind of looks down at the drop. Seem rather high here. Besides, I'm freezing cold to the bone. A little bit of fire might warm, even if it is green.
Agreed, Sophia says, and she starts to walk towards the flame. Ladies first, I guess.
Hold on a fucking minute. Does this look like something I could dispel?
Looks like something that you could potentially try.
Oh, I'm in, dude.
Give me a...
Well, is there... So you have to come up, I guess, with a spell level if there's some kind of equivalent.
No, there is an actual thing for this. So give me a... let me see here. Roll your Arcana, basically.
Can Dieter give Gregor some guidance so you can add a D4 to that roll?
I don't see why not.
So Dieter will just go up to you, Gregor, as he sees you sort of looking at the flame. He'll just say, I don't know what you're planning to do, but for the love of the Morning Lord, be careful. And add a D4 to whatever you roll.
Shit. 10.
You start to try to cast your Dispel Magic, and as you start to say these magic-infilled words and focus and hold your hands out towards the fire, you feel a burning sensation and just fuck! And pull your hands back as it starts to burn. No luck. It seems that the trial demands tribute.
Fire doesn't like that. Don't be a wuss. And he pats you on the back as he goes to try to walk through it.
You walk through it?
I'll try.
All right. You do so with little to no effort walking through. But as soon as you step through, you take immediately 41 fire damage.
Holy fuck!
What does that feel like? What does that feel like for Kogrom?
It feels like his insides are burning.
You run through and you start to scream as you feel like your flesh is melting away. You drop to the snow, breathing heavily. You look to your hands, expecting it to be charred all but to the bone, but your flesh still remains. The pain absolutely killing you does not subside, but as you look around, you're not burning. The damage, however, has been done.
Oh, shit.
He just drops to a knee and like starts rolling around on the ground. He's just like, fuck, this hurts more than I remember.
Sophia walks through next, and as she does, she lets out a bone-curdling scream, and she too drops to the ground, heavily breathing. She picks herself up and looks at you and gives a troubled laugh and says, "You weren't kidding when you said that hurt." Looking
he just
back,
lays there silently. He's just like, yep.
You see one of the toughest members of the group lying on the ground in some unforeseen pain. He looks completely fine. Even the snow itself hasn't, that's pretty much all that's gone off of him is the ice. But you look at him and you can just see as he's laying on the ground like you've never seen him before in an immense amount of pain. That leaves 3 more of you to cross.
I cast Dispel Magic again.
All right, give it a roll.
Second time's the charm.
Dieter will give you guidance again. Add a D4.
Do you want my inspiration?
Oh, I have inspiration. Here comes the sick reroll. Oh, God. It's even worse. 11.
You take...
Well, I'm taking damage? I'm not even touching it.
Take 20 damage now, as whatever you're trying to do seems to have some repercussion now. You predict that trying again is only going to make matters worse now, as whatever old ward has been placed on this passageway is not meant to be necessarily dispelled, or it's something beyond your level now.
So Dieter, seeing Gregor in pain of some kind, will just like step forward and just like, wait, hold on. Let's think about this. Let me try to call some of Lathander's healing light down upon us, and then we can just walk through, Gregor. I don't think this is going to work. I don't think the spelling it is going to work. And he is going to cast, since we're resting after this, hopefully, he's going to cast Mass Cure Wounds. Yeah, why not? Why the fuck not? So that is 3d8 plus 3 hit points back. Let me go ahead and roll that shite. 18. So that's 21 plus. Hang on. 21 plus 7. So that's 28 hit points back to everybody on the outside of the barrier still.
Oh, man.
Sorry, buddy.
Kogrom and Sophia still lie in tremendous amounts of pain as you see a healing surge from beyond the flame sweep over everybody else.
Actually, okay, so question. It's a 30-foot radius. Are they more than 30 feet away?
No, they would get it to then.
Okay, so yeah, 28 points to Kogrom and Sophia as well. All right, and after doing that, Dieter will sort of wipe his sweaty, cold face and just look at Gwent, oddly enough, and say, all right, here we go. And he's just going to walk in.
Strangely enough, take another 41 damage.
Great.
I'm actually rolling this too. As you feel the worst pain you've ever felt in your life. It's agonizing, and even though it lasts a brief second or two, it feels like an eternity, and you wish nothing more for your life to end. As you feel the melting and burning of flesh, you drop to the snow, but then it's over. The pain is burned into your memory. You'll never forget this moment. But you think of Gabriella.
Yeah.
And you think of what this means.
Dieter just sort of like collapses into a ball in the snow and just sort of shakes for a little bit.
Sophia and the gang look back at Gregor and Gwent.
Gwent walks forward and kind of puts his hand on Gregor's back and says, "Oh, man," and he shoves him through.
Why'd you say you roboted out a bit for me? Hello?
Oh.
Hey.
Am I back?
You are back.
Okay, I can hear you guys great. That's weird that you can't hear me. Puts his hand on Gregor's back and says, and father, and he pushes him. He's going to use his last 3rd level spell slots to cast protection from energy.
Nice.
As he pushes him through.
All right, and that's just on Gregor?
It only works on one person.
All right, so you guys can, since you're going through at the same time, actually, let's do it this way. We'll roll both. So Gregor getting pushed through first would take an immediate 28 damage, but since the protection of energy is on him, I believe that's just resisted, right? So half of 28.
Exactly. I'm choosing fire.
Yep, fire damage is what it is. And you follow through behind him and take...
wait, no. Wait, I'm gonna Misty Step through.
You're going to Misty Step through? All right. Doing so...
You piss off the Guardians.
Yeah. You,
Shit! Now we all took the damage and we have to fight the Guardians.
You see 2 giant demonic statues start to animate. No. You would get through. No damage.
Shit.
Well, he would feel kind of ashamed that through, and he would try to make it look like he's walking through and Misty Step just like as he's pushing Gregor through and be like, ah!
Do you want to give a deception or performance?
That's a 3 on the die.
Yeah, it is terribly fake.
Gregor angrily, as he's screaming from pain, kicks you back into the fire.
Give me a dex save.
Shit! Fucking asshole, Gregor. I protected you. Oh, man. Dex save. You mean strength save. Right? That's an 11.
That's an 11.
on the deck save.
All right, enjoy that 38 fire damage as you come through and you're like, oh, it burns so bad. Ow, ow, ow. Gregor's just like, fuck off, you bastard. Kicks you in the gut and you fall back into it.
Ah! And I actually scream.
Nonetheless, as you all take a moment to sit there and deal with the pain that you just suffered, you now see that about 40 feet away is this icy tower that just seems to cling to the mountainside, sitting there. It reaches about 4 stories high. It has an old wooden door and maybe a couple of arrow slits towards the top half of it. Just a couple of battlements or crenellations around the top. It doesn't seem like any special kind of tower, just an old watchtower for whatever reason, but it sits there, shelter from the wind. Sophia looks at you all, gives a readying kind of nod, and starts to head in. She pushes open the door as the snow kind of seeps in a little bit from the drift above. The wind kind of whips in, and you see this kind of circling staircase around the outer wall of the tower that climbs up into a trap door about 15 feet up. And other than that, nothing in particular is left in this old tower. You walk up and push open the trap door and see kind of like a common, almost resting area that must have been at one point kind of the barracks or sleeping quarters of the guards on the second floor. And then the staircase again wraps up into a third floor. And if you were to just inspect the entirety of this tower, there's really nothing left but a pit for a fire on the second floor. The third floor is basically just an empty room where arrow slits could be looked from outdoors. And then there's a ladder going up to the top door, which leads to the peak of this tower, which is heavily weighed down by snow. You quickly search through the tower and don't find anything in particular here, except for a place away from the cold, biting wind. You make your way up to the second floor, and quickly, Sophia would find actually that one of you would find that there is still wood remaining conveniently on the first floor. You go down and kind of pick that up and load it into the fire and quickly get a fire roaring in the second level. And for the first time in what feels like ever, but only realistically a day, you feel warmth. The snow starts to melt off your cloaks, dripping down to the floor. You begin to feel tingling, biting to your fingertips. The first time you felt your fingers in hours. You warm them up by the fire and kind of take in the warmth. Sophia lights down her cloak, her wolf pelt, and you see this long black hair that's just kind of shimmering, and a beautiful face on this young, probably in her late 20s girl. These dark brown eyes, just a very beautiful looking girl. Although you've seen her in combat and she holds her own with no problem, a ferocity that you would question you want to incur on yourself. She starts kind of peeling off layers and warming up near the fire. What's everybody else doing? Standing in silence, gawking at Sophia. Well, you're a quiet bunch.
Can hardly keep my teeth from chattering. Can't really talk through it.
Come, gather near the fire. It'll warm us all. We'll need a good night's rest if we're to continue.
So you never told me why you're up on this mountain.
I guess now...
Stands near the fire.
I guess now is more time than ever. I did tell you I would explain myself when we find Haven. So, you say you're of Ken Kelroth also. You knew my father, Malthelian?
Yes.
Well, it was when I was a little girl that I was separated from the tribe. Around the first time the Druids attacked, my father bargained with some Vistani. He asked them to watch over me. He told me that something was coming, something bad. I never really understood how right he would turn out to be until I heard what happened to the tribe. The Vistani took care of me. They taught me their traditions. They were always good to me, but growing up, I would always lay awake and listen to them whisper to what happened to my family, to what happened to my tribe, the terrible things that the Druids did, the awful, nightmarish, unspeakable evils that they seen on top of this mountain. I always tried to pretend like I didn't really
have been
know.
known to do.
What's that, sorry?
The Vistani have been known to do similar evil upon others.
I've heard.
See this in your tribe? Those who raised you.
I suppose all kinds of people do terrible things. I suppose you and perhaps even some of your family members have done terrible things. I know not of you. I know not of other Vistani, only the ones who raised me. And those were good people. They saved my life. I do not doubt it.
Can I roll insight?
Forgive my interruption. Continue.
No worries. You can roll insight, and she's going to kind of continue as you do. Just type in the chat what you roll. And she would say,
rolls terribly.
We're terrible? Okay. So I remember one night as a small girl, a woman, very old. She told me her name was Ava. She wished me away in the middle of the night. I remember leaving the camp confused, not sure what the urgency was. I was just a young girl then, barely a teen. And I remember hearing screams, cries, the smell of burning, lights, yellow, arcanic energy tearing through the camp. I remember hearing this attack and the cries of the Vistani who protected me. I remember asking this lady why we could not help them. I remember that she explained to me that some fates are inescapable. I asked her why I was any different. Why did I deserve to escape this fate? And she told me that fate is not something that you choose to escape or not. It's what happens to you in spite of all your plans. It's what's meant to happen, and it's what always will happen. The only choices you control are the ones you make up until that point. The final chapter, she would explain it. She went on about all these different things, about strands of fate bouncing off each other and entwining and ricocheting off in unseen directions until we all just inevitably stop. I remember her blabbing on about how men spend their entire lives trying to predict where their journeys end. And she reminded me that that's missing the point entirely. She told me not to focus on my fate, for that is the final chapter. Instead, she told me to draw my attention to those snags and bumps along the way. She told me to consider herself one of these bumps, and then asked me to leave Barovia, and if I wished to continue this fate, this rolling, she called it, she said it's probably best I never return. She somehow got me out of this inescapable realm. I didn't think to even look back for many, many years. I don't even know now why I've come back to this mountain, but for some reason in the night, Barovia calls to me. And since I've returned, I have a feeling of home filling me. I don't know why, but I believe that for some reason I'm needed here. I know that there's a temple, a place of great evil. I heard of the Vistani whispering it. I know that's where my father and some men went and terrible things happened. I know this temple is somewhere out here, and I wish to make sure that no other harm comes to anybody from this temple. Why are you here?
Kogrom, like, kind of looks at her. Just eyes narrowed. Same reason. Just strange. Could say it's fate.
I say no such thing. I only tell you a story of an old, crazed woman and what she
You
believed.
fight well for someone who was raised by merchants and traders.
Have you never fought a Vistani before? Like you said, they're often more than meets the eye. I was raised by a man named Erigo. He was an excellent swordsman. And even still, the young barbarian tribe of Kelroth are taught at a very young age. Kogrom.
Men and women, he adds.
I do not forget my ancestry. I have never once stopped thinking about the Kelroth tribe. I would never hide my traditions. I think now more than ever that it's more important to keep them alive. I don't say that it's not strange, us meeting. Perhaps that old woman was onto something. All I know is that things have a weird way of connecting. It's often not what it seems, and what does seem apparent is often quite different than what you'd assume. I just know that this temple is out there, and I know what it did to my people. And I just know that I will never let it do that to anybody else. If you are here now searching it, maybe I'm here to help you.
Yeah. You don't know what it did. You're about to find out.
Don't doubt that.
Better get a good rest. We'll be freezing again tomorrow.
Do you know where it is?
If it hasn't moved, I do.
Good. We all need a good night's rest then. If the tales are even half true, then we are all in grave danger.
At that, Dieter will sort of stand up from this half crouch, sort of like unfold himself, still in a lot of pain, and just say, I will take first watch. I'm going to go downstairs, I think. And then he kind of glances over at Gwent and says, Gwent, if you would not mind joining me for a second, there's something I wish to talk to you about. And then without another word, he just starts heading downstairs.
All right.
Gwent glares over at Gregor and says in a voice that's a little too loud, to get away from this asshole. And follows you down.
So as they're walking down the stairs, Dieter sort of looks over at Gwent and just asks, Are you feeling all right, Gwent? There is something different about you.
He kind of scratches his neck and says, Dieter, I barely know you.
I know.
From what? From the stories you have heard?
Yes. I wanted to tell you something, and forgive me if this is improper. I am not the smartest man in the world, and by this time, they've probably reached the downstairs level, and he sort of like pulls his cloak around him, and he just says, when the first stories came from Castle Ravenloft about what happened between the Breakers of the Curse and the Dread Lord, I was awestruck by the stories. I was awestruck when the men in Kresk boasted about how strong Kogrom of Kelroth was, and he is a strong man, but he is haunted. They talked about how witty and clever the Vulgar Knight was, and he is witty and clever, but he too is haunted, Gwent. And they talked about a woman with yellow eyes. Some people, the Vistani mostly called her the Pale Woman. I don't know if I ever heard her proper name, but those are not the stories that inspired me to go to the Church of the Morning Lord and to declare that I wish to become a cleric. And he looks at you, Gwent, and he says, it was your story. The story of a half-elf paladin of Tyr wielding Sergei von Zarevich's sunblade that inspired me to pledge my life to the Morning Lord. But you, I don't know, maybe I'm misjudging it, and please forgive me if I am, but is your faith still strong, Gwent? I sense doubt. Is this true?
Abigail
Abigail.
was her name. You said you never.
The yellow-eyed woman, her name was Abigail.
Sister's name was Abigail.
Oh. What happened?
Clutching something in his hand as you've been talking. And he shows you what he's holding, and he says, "It is all that remains of her." And you see that in this vial, some of the dust that that Abigail turned into when she was disintegrated so many years ago. Constant. They will change a man. Now. I once was. I hope that we find your daughter. We find her and that we save her. Was responsible.
I am sorry, Gwent, for what happened to your sister, to this Abigail. I just want you to know that, like you said, you do not know me that well. I do not know you that well. I am new to this cleric business, but your faith, your dedication, it inspired me, and I guess what I'm trying to say is I need that. I need that someone who is strong and firm in his beliefs, because, and he sort of glances up the stairs, I cannot help but think that the woman is right, that no child could survive up here, and that we will find my daughter's corpse somewhere in this temple. And I do not know what I would do if that was the case.
If that were the case, I hope, my dear Dieter, that your faith is stronger than mine.
Yes, I suppose so.
I'm a pious man. Listen to this. If we did find your daughter,
He just sort of nods. Okay.
Of on those who hurt her. Self. Would you call that a fair trade?
The problem is, Gwent, I do not think anyone took her. And he pulls the drawing out that he found in her room that shows her in front of the temple with the notebook. Actually, I think you already saw that, but he just pulls that anyway. And he says, there is no one with her in this drawing. Of course, it could just be a drawing, but I don't know. This whole situation is strange, and it makes me doubt, which is why I was surprised to hear that you of all people, you have doubts as well about your faith, about Tyr. But I would not call harming those who may or may not have brought her up here a fair trade for my daughter.
Well, I am a paladin of vengeance. This my values, and yet I cannot say that I would either.
Well, I suppose we will just have to see what happens, I guess. But you have given me much to think about, Gwent, and thank you. And again, I am sorry for what happened to your sister. She sounds like she was a special woman.
Nods. Indeed. I wish I could have saved her. He kind of shakes his head and says, vengeance coming back to Barovia. Coming back and seeking retribution against my foes. It consumed my life. It's
You should go get some rest. I will take first watch. And thank you.
Thank you.
Gwent.
We will find your daughter.
And as Gwen starts to head upstairs, it's still not completely nighttime yet, and you can smell that someone has something cooking, some kind of a warm stew of some kind upstairs. You still have a couple hours before nightfall actually breaks. And unless you were totally against it, Dieter, you would be called upstairs to at least have something to eat and fill your belly before the watches were even established.
Yeah, that's fine. He would definitely go up and eat before his watch.
Yeah. And as you do so, you do see that someone has pulled out a cooking pot and started to throw some rations in there and heat it up, get some warmth in your belly, some energy. And it's at this point that Gregor, I'm going to throw you on the spot here. Gwent called you an asshole, and it's actually kind of strange because as you're sitting down, you feel that from your pack, the journal that Van Richten had, the one that you grabbed, has fallen out, and it's actually next to you. And a chapter that's opened is titled, "A Journey with the Biggest Asshole I've Ever Met." And as you just kind of look at it, you see that it's actually Van Richten reciting the very first journey he ever had with you. And as everyone's sitting around the fire, for whatever reason, you can't help but feel this urge to just share this story. Maybe it's not even sharing it just to yourself, but you pick it up and you kind of give yourself a laugh. Fucking Van Richten. What is this story? What is the tale of the very first time Van Richten and Gregor Vance got together?
Shit. All right. So it's actually kind of a similar story to this, where there's children going missing from this village, and Van Richten needs some help in order to fight these, or in order to find them. He's figured out that there's like a coven of hags out in the forest who have been basically stealing kids and eating them and using them for blood magic and shit. And so he recruits Gregor, and they go off and kind of uses him as bait. And so he just wants Gregor to just sing and curse to himself and walk in the forest, kind of trying to lure them out, screaming threats and whatever. So Gregor's kind of like going around or whatever. And then this is all from Van Richten's perspective as he's like up in the trees. And then they come out and just see him and all attack him as Van Richten gets the surprise on them from above. And so he's on the ground just like kind of fighting them and swearing and cursing at Van Richten. And Van Richten is doing his best to be stealthy and hide, not give away his position as they slaughter them and then go in there to try and rescue the kids and find, some of them picked clean, just bones now. But a few of them still left alive. And then on the whole walk back, Gregor's kind of just being an asshole to these kids, being like, well, you should have been, more careful when you were at home, not to go out with strangers. In fact, right now, who knows? We could be taking you back to eat you. The kids are just crying the whole time, all sad. Some of them try and run off. Greg quick grab them before they get too far away, and kind of just drags them back to town with Van Richten.
Absolutely. And you're telling this tale to everybody, I imagine? You're okay with that, right? You're just kind of like reciting it?
Yeah, that works.
And it's through the perspective of Van Richten. So he has it like detailed out how he was like this sophisticated attack. He was hiding stealthily up in the trees while you were bumbling like an idiot, swearing at them, and it got the hag's attention. Now your version of the story is much different. Van Richten used you as bait, and you got the shit kicked out of you by these hags. You literally almost died and had your soul ripped out from your very existence. And it's because of that piece of shit that you met for the very first time working with him that you almost died. But nonetheless, he had your back when it counted, and you had his for many years after that. And you kind of think about it and laugh to yourself because you really were a prick to those kids. And you're pretty sure that even now as adults, they probably can't sleep at night. But that's what they get for being a bunch of little bitches, probably. And you just laugh, and everyone else is kind of looking at you, just dumbstruck by like the horror of the story. Kids were eaten, you scarred some for life. And that was the first kind of journey of Van Richten and Gregor. The memory kind of sides, and you think of Van Richten now and wonder what that old prick would be doing if he was here with you. Nonetheless, the stew has been eaten. The night has quickly approached on you now. You kind of hear the wind pounding against the door, and even with the fire, you can feel the occasional drift kind of seep in. It becomes time to set up watches throughout the night. Now, who wants to take first? I know that Dieter said he would take first.
Mhm.
Sophia would say that she would take any watch that anybody wants, if that's needed.
Kogrom's human, so he would prefer to do last.
Okay. So Dieter on first watch.
I'll go next. I don't mind.
You'll go next, and then we only need 3 people, so Kogrom can perhaps go last.
Would I be able to do something on my watch, possibly?
Yeah.
So Dieter would definitely go down to the first level, just to kind of keep an eye on the door. And he would sort of position himself so his back was like against the stone of the tower, and he was facing the door. And then he is actually going to take out that drawing again, and he's going to use his last 5th level spell for today. And he's going to try and scry on Gabriella to see if he can find her. Is that possible, maybe?
I mean, you have one of her things, right?
I do.
Yeah, here we go. Time to break the game with that high level magic.
Yeah, baby.
Chris is like, oh, shit. Damn clerics.
Curveball.
It's totally your call, DM. I mean, maybe he doesn't have the focus for it, whatever. But I mean, if you'll let me, I'm gonna do it.
No, I'm totally cool with this. Was I muted the whole time? I wasn't I?
Yeah.
So you have a likeness or a picture from her?
And I have first-hand knowledge of her as well, obviously.
Yeah. So first-hand knowledge gets you.
Actually, it gets to be familiar, so it'd be -5.
Yeah, cool. Let's roll a quick save here. Yeah, -5. She definitely fails. Interesting.
So Dieter would just take out the picture and sort of look at the little figure with the notebook in its hand on its way to the temple and just focus, and sort of his body would start to glow with this orange gold light as the scrying spell begins to take effect, hopefully.
Absolutely. Okay, this is interesting. I wasn't prepared for this at all, but this is fun anyways. You're brought to a dark place. An extremely, almost void of any light, any positive energy whatsoever. The walls themselves, not even discernible. It just seems like almost infinite. It's so dark in here. But yet you see shimmers of something glowing brightly. It's too dark to tell what it is. But in the center of this void, you hear a sniffle. You hear a cry of a young girl. It is Gabriella. And as we focus on her. She's sitting up in the fetal position. You see her in this dark void. You can just feel how cold she truly is. How on the brink, her very life force is just a pinch of energy. She's crying in the darkness. It just kind of echoes and then stops. She lifts her head up and you hear her frail voice. Daddy? You kind of, in your mind, try to call out to her, but you can't, obviously. It's not how scrying works. This is your first time probably trying this powerful magic even, and to do so is just strenuous on you nonetheless. You feel the connection, and with every ounce of power you have, you want to be there wherever this terrible place is. You can feel the negativity surrounding your poor young daughter. And the last thing that you say before you feel the presence of something else, another entity there with you. This entity freezes you in place. It drains every bit of hope, of love, of any positive energy you ever felt from you. You feel it approaching your daughter. She cries out for help. And then you're sucked away. You drop down to your knees. Gabriella is alive. She's somewhere up on this mountain. But something very bad is with her. And you know she doesn't have very long. You feel helpless in this moment like you've never have before. You were sad when your daughter was gone, but now to see the state that she's currently in, it's almost as if death would have been perhaps easier for her. For this kind of evil, for this kind of darkness, it feels like it even tainted you. You can't imagine what effect it must have on poor Gabriella. You almost wish that you didn't scry.
So Dieter comes out of this and he's just sort of on his knees, like you said, and he just stops and looks, and just in one motion he just throws up all the soup that he's eaten just all over the floor, just like, ugh.
Oh, it isn't that bad.
And he sort of wipes his mouth and then goes back upstairs to get Gwent or whoever's doing the next watch, and he just curls up into the fetal position and just stares at a wall for the rest of the night, eventually falling asleep.
Absolutely. Gwent, is there anything in particular that you want to accomplish on your watch besides just watching the only way in this door?
Yeah, he's gonna take his pulls out the that he keeps on him of his sister's, whispers a few words to it as he's watching. He kind of goes, just, sister, hear me wherever you are, but you keep visiting me in these visions, so I know where I'm going if you're telling me not to go. He kind of shakes the dust a little bit and says, I'll do anything in my power, soul free from wherever hell it is trapped in right now. I do. I know this is not
Oh, did he drop?
Yep, he froze.
Cliffhanger. I don't know if he's still there. Are you still there, Brady?
no.
Oh, I heard a noise.
In this world, not my purpose. Here to
Maybe try dropping the call and then coming back.
Yeah,
Maybe.
we can't.
I'll try that next.
You're extremely choppy right now. We can't hear you at all, unfortunately.
Okay.
It's the king in yellow. He's whispering with Alex.
Yeah. You go to sleep, and if you can come back in, we can quickly recap after what you said.
Awesome.
Try a quick reload, unfortunately. Damn, that sucks. All right, though. Gwent comes up and wakes you, Kogrom. It's the ungodly hours of the night. It's your turn for a watch. You're kind of sitting around for many hours, and I forgot to actually mention this beforehand, but Sophia decided that she would go asleep on the third level. She wouldn't want to kind of hang out with the four dudes, so she went up and made a fire and a area for herself. It's really, really late in the evening, and as you're kind of on your watch, you see the fire up there kind of glowing from the trapdoor, and you hear her walking around for some reason. She's still up at this hour. This is on you, Kogrom.
All right. Yeah, Kogrom is just kind of chilling on a bench on the first floor, just staring at the door. He'd kind of like stage whisper up, say, "Hey, hey," and like when she doesn't hear what he's saying, he uses the message cantrip that he has. He says, "You on watch too? Should get some rest." Just hears it in her head.
She responds back that she's trouble sleeping. Care for some company?
Yeah, come on down. I gotta watch the door.
She hears the trapdoor open, and she comes down and kind of opens up the other one, closes it or whatever. So that's just you two down there. Anything going on?
Why can't you sleep?
Can't stop thinking about all
About what?
this. Meeting yous up here. I know your friends don't trust me. Can't really blame them. It does seem a bit strange.
Well, I know you haven't been in Barovia for a while, but usually when you run into a woman on the side of a mountain, all in her lonesome, it's bad news.
That's fair. Technically, if you were on the other side of things, it could have been bad news for all of you. Luckily, it seems that our whatever this is aligned. Tell me, you said you knew my father. I struggle to even remember what he looks like. What was he like?
So like two images kind of flash through his mind as he kind of thinks back. The image of like a tall and proud chieftain, and then the broken man that he found in the dungeons. He says,
He always did what was best for his people, even in the worst of the darkness. When the blizzard was going to wipe us out, he found a shelter. Out of the frying pan into the whatever. I forget the saying. Do you remember what it is? Out of the water into the frying pan. Right.
You are quite good with words.
yeah, and he's Kogrom. He's approaching 50, so he's pretty old.
Yeah, this girl's
Says,
like 28.
yeah. He just says,
Well, enough time and alone in the wild. My social skills aren't so great.
Fair enough. Seems like you've kept much of your barbarian heritage. I respect that. Tell me, was Strahd and the Druids as bad as the Vistani made them sound?
What did you hear?
Horrible things. I've heard that they took our people and, well, when they were done, They were no longer people.
Beasts.
Something even worse.
Worse than beasts. Driven by madness and need to kill. Worse than beasts. They don't even kill for survival. It's drive. It's a hunger for them. Put an end to it, but you don't forget something like that. Being chased by something like that. So
What
you
happened to
do.
my father? She cuts you off.
No. No. Don't worry about him. His pain's over.
Give me a deception check.
All right. I thought it killed him.
You did.
15.
15. So yeah, you're saying that no, he didn't become like that, and that he's
He's leaving it open, but he's
Yeah.
kind of
Gotcha.
alluding to the fact that he was put out before it happened to him.
I appreciate you trying to hide whatever happened to him. It's probably best off I don't know. She incites you pretty hard. Nonetheless, you don't dwell on it. She says, I thought for many years that I was the last of Kelroth. I never thought that I would meet another, let alone someone who served with my men. You kind of have she walks away, you have your back turned to her. You turn around, and she's right behind you now.
Jesus. God,
Rest her-
don't do that.
She rests her hand on your chest and comes in for a kiss.
All right.
As you let her do it, she quickly starts to slip out of her clothes.
I need to keep watch.
She stands there, obviously naked, cold.
Um,
Is this not something you want? I'm sorry. I feel like an idiot.
sorry, right now isn't really the time.
She, embarrassed, starts to pick up her clothes. You see a tear in her eyes.
Oh, don't cry, he whispers.
Give me an insight right now.
All right. 20?
20.
Yeah.
She was just trying to cast something on you.
So
You
like
just
he's
let
like,
it work.
Don't cry. It's okay.
and then like he senses something is off, and like his face just like there's a sudden change. He says,
You should head to bed. I've got the rest of the night.
She kind of cries, a bit surprising. A woman so strong, you see her like in a vulnerable state right now. She apologizes. Something the Vistani taught me. Didn't mean to try to dupe you or anything. I love Hex. That's what I was trying to do. I just thought, I don't know. It's just me and you, Kogrom. We're the only Kalroths left. And if I'm going to be honest with you, I'm afraid. I know that fear is not something that a Kalroth is supposed to feel. I know that is shameful. But I know that as we approach this temple, I just worry. I worry about what I've heard. I worry for you and I worry for myself. We are the last two survivors. If something happens to us, then our clan is erased from history. You're basically the only person I had left, and even moments, hours ago, I knew not of your existence. I just know the last time that our clan entered this temple, just heard of the terrible things that happened. I'm terrified, Kogrom.
It's natural to feel that way. Haven't exactly been sugarcoating it. But it's the pride of our people that we carry on despite being afraid. Despite the worst trials, the pain, the weather. We keep going.
Can you promise me something?
He nods.
Promise that you will protect me as I will protect you. Promise to watch over us. I know those are your friends, but we are more than that. We are blood. For the Kelroth clan, promise that me and you will survive. And we will not let what happened to my father, what happened to the others, happen to us. Can you promise me that?
I will defend you along with my friends. Hopefully it doesn't come to a choice.
Is that a no? I understand that
I will
I'm
defend. He says,
Go ahead.
I will defend you with my life. I will leave that choice to my friends, whether they will do the same for you.
She goes in for another kiss. Do you accept it this time?
I mean, he accepted it last time.
That's true. Yeah, she's not naked. It's just a straight up kiss. So she'd come in and kiss you again.
All right.
Give me a dice roll.
Oh.
Just tell me what it is.
All right. 13.
13. All right. Write that number down on your character sheet.
Oh,
May
shit.
become important later on.
It was just a straight up roll, no mods or anything.
There'll be mods to it, but as for right now, I don't want you to know what it is.
Shit. Okay.
All right.
Lucky 13.
Lucky 13. She thanks you, and she apologizes for trying to hex you. She should have known that you're smarter than that. I just felt vulnerable, and I frankly questioned whether I would be something that's desirable to you. I apologize, Kogrom. I did not mean to do that. Please forgive me for being a stupid girl.
You have nothing to apologize for. You should get some rest.
She goes upstairs.
Sorry.
Your watch comes to the end. You think about this absolutely beautiful barbarian girl that just threw herself at you, and you.
He's honestly still a little suspicious.
Yeah.
And he would know that like anybody raised in his tribe would be a little leery of doing something like that while they're supposed to be keeping watch.
Yeah, fair. That's very fair. Yeah, even you question it.
Yeah.
Especially the fact that she obviously tried to hex you in some way. You felt that. Nonetheless, you feel cautious, but the night goes by with no other problems. Everyone starts to wake up. The sun is shining. The winds have subsided. As you collect your gear and start to dress up for the warmth, you push open the door, and with a troubled effort, as the snow has pushed so hard against it, it actually takes some effort to actually push open the door. Getting a strange sound from somebody. I don't know what that is.
Kogrom looks out the second story window and tries to judge how deep the snow is.
From basically drifted up against the
Like,
side
does
of
it cover up the entire door? Like, Could he hop off the second story and get out that way?
Yeah, absolutely. You totally could.
Hold on a second. I'll get on the other side.
All right.
He'll hop off the second story into the snowdrift.
You plummet into it and are just met with soft powder of the snow. Momentarily, you hear shuffling and moving, and occasionally a snowdrift kicks out from underneath the door, and then suddenly the door opens and a snowy Kogrom stands on the other side. Showing off his barbarian strength in real life, okay? And yeah, you guys open up into the day. You know what's upon you now. It's time to head to the temple somewhere up in this mountain. You roughly know the way. You know that in a couple of 100 feet, you're going to come upon a absolutely massive old stone bridge, which spans across a deep ravine called the Luna River. And this bridge is old and stone and easily almost 300 feet long, built long ago by people that have been forgotten. The bridge, last time you crossed it, Kogrom, was still standing, but in a bit of rough shape. Sections of it have been broken away by maybe time, something else. And as you kind of inform the group that that's your next milestone, that's the next path along the way, you do come upon what looks like a snowy pass, and there's these two kind of not necessarily towers, but like stone battlements with these iron or metal statuettes of these knights riding horses, and they're just standing on this two kind of pillars, and then in the center of this pillar is a bridge that is about 20 feet wide and just spans across this absolutely massive ravine, this chasm or deep falling cliffside that plummets down into the abyss. Now that the wind isn't blowing so heavy, you can look below and see that it drops terrible, like hundreds of feet. You look across and it's made of stone. You definitely see that sections of it are broken, but it looks like it's still, at first test, standing strong throughout the test of time and weather on top of the mountain. You know that crossing this bridge is mandatory to get to the Amber Temple.
Another trial.
Mutters under his breath.
How do we get across? This bridge looks ancient.
Well, I suppose we walk, Sophia says.
Same way across any bridge.
And Dieter sort of glares at her and then glares at Kogrom. It's way too early for this. All right. I'm saying it doesn't look stable. It doesn't look stable. Should we, I don't know, tie a rope to something? I don't know. I'm not the adventuring type. I don't know.
Do you want to tie a rope to each other? Is that what you're saying?
Well, the only problem with that is if somebody falls, then we all fall. It might be better to tie it to, I don't know, a piece of stone or something sturdy. Maybe one of the statues? I don't know. Something.
You should buy us to the halberd. And he nudges Gregor and laughs.
I'm not getting tripped up by any of that shit this time.
Is that a euphemism for something? I don't understand.
Don't ask.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, we could tie a rope to all of us. I'll tie it to my cane. We'll be fine.
To your cane?
Yeah.
How is that going to... I don't understand. How's that going to keep us all from dying if one of us falls?
Here, take it. So he holds the cane out for you to take.
So Dieter grabs it.
And it doesn't move at all.
Oh!
Dieter's face like just lights up in this like boyish smile. He's like, "That is amazing."
As it turns out that Gregor's cane is an immovable rod.
Nice. That's cheeky.
Wow. That is incredible. Let's do this. And Dieter's going to start pulling a rope out of his backpack and tying it to the immovable rod, then doling it out to everybody else.
So yeah, let's set up a marching tied order, I guess. At the back, obviously, the rod. And who's going to be on the first end of it?
Me. So I'll just be there, like, literally next to it.
Okay. And are you just like stamping it in the ground and then walking across, or are you kind of carrying
so
it?
I literally like put it into the ground, turn it on, take a few steps.
So
turn
here's
it
the
off.
problem with that. The bridge, it's okay. I see. The bridge itself is over, it's like 240 plus feet. So you're going to need a long ass rope if you're going to like stamp that into the beginning of the bridge and start walking.
Oh no,
Well,
I'm gonna
did
like
everyone
take it
bring
with
out-
me.
Okay.
Did everybody
I'm
bring
like-
a rope?
Yeah, I got rope.
250 feet if everybody brought a rope.
That's true.
No, because so
I
here's
got
the
what you're
deal.
saying now. Yeah, I got what you're saying now. You're going to carry it with you, and if something comes down, then you'll drop it when needed.
Yeah, basically.
All right. So Gregor is,
But doesn't it only work once every 24 hours?
well, hopefully you don't have to use it more than once.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's always on.
So who's going to be tied next to Gregor? Gwent. Gwent, Dieter, you good with that?
Yep, that works.
And then Kogrom, do you want to be at the end of the rope, or do you want Sophia to be at the end of the rope? She doesn't seem too necessarily impressed to be tied to all you guys, but she's not going to fight it.
Kogrom will go at the end.
You go at the end, so Sophia.
Yep.
And then, oh, I'm typing that in the chat instead of where I need to type it. And then Kogrom is technically at the end, which would be the front, I guess. In this case, or is, yeah, because we're going with Gregor in the back. So you guys start to make it your way across this bridge, and you're very careful to do so. There's a lot of snow and ice on the bridge, and there's complete sections of it that are like just broken away and fall to the abyss above or below, sorry. But as you step on the stone, it is very sturdy and strong. Nothing really kind of gives way. And you're about 100 feet into the pass and starting to feel a little more sure of yourself with this rope plan that you guys have. It's at about 120 feet, though. You're kind of walking. A gust of wind blows at you all, and Gregor, you ready this rod because it actually blows pretty impressively and like almost moves you guys, so you're ready to drop it at a moment's notice as everyone kind of clings on to what they can. And right to your left is a blown away section of the bridge, so there's no like railings or anything on it. And then to your right, just about so if the group were to span, we're gonna say maybe 20 feet. At one end is the broken left-hand side, which is at the top near Kogrom. And then behind you, basically right beside you, Kogrom on the right, or Gregor on the right, is another blown away section. And you just kind of momentarily stand there, hold on as the wind blows, and it stops. And then you hear a noise echo across the ravine. Something that sounds kind of like, ah!
Can I figure out what that noise is?
Give me a check.
Does it sound vaguely familiar?
You're hoping it doesn't.
Okay. What check?
Let's say, what are you thinking? Survival? Goes with me. Nature, actually nature base.
Probably like nature, I guess.
Yeah, I'm good with nature.
Okay. 16.
16. You hear it, and it echoes. And you're brought back to a childhood story about a guardian.
Oh fuck! It's the bird.
And suddenly, the sky, the sun, the light in the sky blotches out, and you're just encompassed by this shadow. You hear this shriek just burst out into the sky, and as you look above, a dragon is what you think at first. But no, it is a bird. It is Ithadin, the guardian of the mountain, and it is dive bombing towards you. This dragon-like bird creature, a beak the size of a tower, is descending upon you. It slams into the side of the bridge. It begins to crumble as it does so under the weight of this creature. Everybody roll initiative.
He is not my bro. It's like, wait, he's your bro, right? No.
All right, Gregor got a 4.
14.
14 for Gwent. I don't have the chat open, so just yell it out when you got it.
21 for Dieter.
21 for Dieter. I got 14 on Gwent. We got 4 on Gregor. And what do we got for Kogrom?
13.
13? And sorry, 21 on Dieter? Yeah. Okay. Roll Sophia. She's in. All right. Now this creature... No, we're not going to say it has a surprise on you. But we are going to get you to make a dex save, every single person, as it slams into the side of this bridge. The force that it makes just landing into it trembles the very ground itself. Everyone make a dex save not to fall prone.
Danger sense, got advantage.
Everybody use +3 if they're within, I think it's 10 feet of me, so the 2 or 3 people who are next to me.
I got a 25.
25.
21 with Gwent's boost.
Beautiful.
A
10.
7 +3 if I'm close to Gwent.
Beautiful. Anyone roll lower than 10?
I rolled a 10.
Nice.
Oh man, does a 10 make it?
Oh, no, wait, no, that's a 9. That's a 9.
Oof. So yeah, this
No,
is
that's a 9.
a check that not only do you, like, failing is pretty bad, but if you failed more than 5, then it's really bad. So as it slams into the side of the bridge, Gwent and Corey are flung off the side. Luckily,
Wait, we're good. You got the rod.
you got the rod. You get a split second to do something before you drop, as Gwent and Gregor, who are basically the back line. So you guys are going to start quickly feeling a tug. What do you do? I'll give you like a split second decision with the rod.
Oh yeah, I turn it on. I'm not going anywhere.
You turn it on, you slam it into the ground as you're falling backwards. You quickly lose a handle on it, though, as you're kind of pulled back by the force of the creature. You're thrown over the side of the edge, and everyone starts to feel a pull on them. But suddenly the rod kind of, you hear this kinetic energy set in. It sinks into the ground with a thud, and you just feel a whip as you two are kind of sent over the edge, but now just hanging there. But now everybody ahead of you, Dieter, Sophia, and Kogrom, have very restricted movement with 2 men dangling over the side of this cliff on a rope.
Oh,
Dieter,
shit.
you're up next. But unless you have an impressive feat of strength, you're considered essentially grappled right now. Your movement is too focused on not being pulled down with them. Now you can take an action to kind of help them out, but if not, then you're kind of stuck where you are.
Oh, shite. All right. So both Gregor and Gwent are over the side at this point, right?
Yes, and they're kind of like hammocked, hanging below, the rod holding one end of them, and you guys kind of holding the other.
Okay. So first of all, Dieter is going to use a...
Not to mention an absolutely massive bird-like creature sits only about 10 feet away from you.
Okay. So Dieter is going to glance at the rope and then glance towards the far side of the bridge and then up at the bird. And he just quietly whispers, "Lathander, forgive me." And then he is going to use a bonus action to cast Spiritual Weapon. So this like flaming sword basically materializes out of nowhere. This sort of orange gold sword lit up with silver flames, and as part of this, it can attack. Can I use the spiritual weapon to cut the rope?
Yes.
Is that possible? All right. So do I need to roll an attack for that, or does it just happen?
We'll just say it happens. A flaming rope would be able to, or a flaming spiritual weapon should be able to cut a rope in one fell swoop.
Okay, so the rope is cut by the sword, and Dieter just shouts up to Sophia and Kogrom, "We need to move!" And then he is going to move. Oh crap! Because I got to stay within 20 feet of that stupid thing. He's going to move forward, I guess, 20 feet, and forward. And then let me see 1 second, real quick. I think, yeah, that's all I can do right now. So the spiritual weapon is up. It's 20 feet behind me. Big attention-grabbing weapon while Dieter moves forward.
All right. So the burning magical weapon cuts the rope. Gwent and Gregor, you're kind of just like free-falling for a moment and then almost like caught by this tension elastic. You feel your weight kind of push against the rope. You look down below. 500 feet is what embraces your vision. You just see a deep, deep, snowy cavern. You're kind of momentarily there, and then all of a sudden you hear, "We have to move." Slint. The tension gives way. You start to swing again. You're free falling once more. You both kind of slam into the underneath of the bridge, momentarily kind of taking that stone icy wall to the face and then start to fall backwards. Gwent, you're hanging now about 10 feet below, and then 5 feet above him is Gregor, and then 5 feet of rope is the actual rod. You're now just kind of free hanging, dangling over this cavern. Next up is Sophia. She is going to, you guys just, you want to run. That's what you told her to do, not fight this thing?
Well, so Dieter just said we should move. We got to move. So yes, I guess technically.
Yeah, so she's going to pull out a longbow on her back and start to bolt. She's going to move her full 30 feet, though. She's not going to dash, and she's going to turn around and release a bow at the creature, which is able to hit. And next up is Gwent.
Wow. Gwent is going to climb the rope.
All right. Give me an athletics check.
There we go. That's a 15.
15?
Yes.
You start to climb, and as you do so, you grab onto Gregor's leg, and you start to pull yourself up across his body. Now, this is kind of like a weird situation, though, because you're all connected by rope, so it's kind of getting tangled and whatnot. With that kind of accounted for, and you being roughly 15 feet below in rope, I'm going to say that with a 15, you can basically, with your action, get to the top of the bridge. And then that's basically like your movement. I'll give you an action, actually. That's fair.
Okay, well, if you'll give me an action, I will use my action to pull Gregor up.
All right, you do so then. I'll say that the 15
just using all
athletics.
my might. And,
yeah, you pull him up. Now that your turn's over,
that's all I got.
I'm not going to forget a very important thing, for this is no ordinary gargantuan rock creature. This is the legendary Ethodin, the guardian of the mountains, the legend of the Kelgroth tribe that watches over all who do not belong on this mountain. And this creature has legendary actions. So it is going to take a swipe at the person who is nearest to it. That happens to be you, Dieter. Dice. Sorry, bro. It slams in, though, with its beak. Rolling a... Get this out of the way. 22 to hit. Assuming it does so. 24 damage. As this beak slams into you, It's more like a building was dropped on you.
Hey, Chris. So I have a power. I can impose. I can use a reaction to cause an attack against my buddy to be at disadvantage if I take D6 damage.
Okay, cool. Want me to do it?
Yes, I'm going to use one of those and see if he'll roll lower.
Right. First roll was a 22 to hit. Second roll, 27 to hit.
Oh, definitely.
All right. I
Good
take
try.
2 damage. So I don't even know what it would look like.
Jump in the way momentarily, but as you do so, the force of this creature is just so powerful that it blows you back. You kind of get skidding across the side of the bridge. Momentarily, you're back to the opening in the ground, not close enough to fall or anything, but close enough to just get that feeling of near death as you look down below behind you. You pick yourself up and you see that Dieter is just crushed into the side of the ground. And as he is, the trembling of the bridge is felt even more. Sophia yells out, "We got to get off this bridge!" Kogrom, you're now up.
All right, Chris. I'm going to try to recall the legend if there was something to ward it off or something like that.
Interesting. Give me a history.
Oh, I'm great at that check. I'm a barbarian. Okay. 17.
Interesting. 17. Ethan, you actually believed for the longest time that it was just a legend. And the legend goes that he was the watcher of the mountain, that there's basically a great spirit of some kind, almost a primordial force. And that there is something on this mountain. You can decide what it is that the barbarians thought was worth protecting. It's kind of like an old spiritual, almost energy of some kind. If you have something,
the mountain itself,
the mountain itself,
like the soul of the mountain, it's like a living thing.
Ethan watched over that. For the barbarians believed that if someone could take the soul of the mountain, that strength could devastate the world. So this bird, this gargantuan creature, was believed to be a protector of that. And there's not necessarily anything to chase it off, but Ethan is only supposed to come to those who do not belong on here, who do not have the mountain's best interest in mind. Someone, if he's attacking, maybe it's a mistake or something, but Ethan believes that you guys are not supposed to be here. You're not worthy. Maybe you didn't pass a trial of some kind. Maybe you tried to pass a trial that you necessarily shouldn't have tried passing. Maybe someone has bad intent towards the mountain. For whatever reason, this giant creature deems that your group is not worthy to be on this mountainside.
All right, Chris. I'm going to run.
Okay. Full dash? What do you got?
How far away am I from the end?
120 feet. You're basically caught smack dab in the bridge.
Yeah, fuck that. I'm not going to fight this thing on a bridge. I'm going to try to get off of it as quick as I can.
Okay. So 60 feet? Or do you have anything special to move quicker?
I don't.
All
I
right,
move
so
60 feet.
Full dash action. You're getting the hell out. The creature is going to, at this point, take another legendary action to move. And as it does so, it moves towards you, Gwent. And now it's the creature's turn. It's going to attack. But this time, instead of attacking, it's going to try to grapple you.
Shit. All right, here we go.
Got to beat a 27.
Oh, shit.
Athletics, right?
Let me know
That
if you need
is-
inspiration.
Yeah.
Actually possible for me if I roll really, really, really high.
Can I? I'm gonna use cutting words, maybe.
Can you cutting words a grapple check, or is that
An
good?
ability check, yeah.
All right, cutting words. What's that? The D what?
It is a D8, so it's -4, so it's only a 23.
Only 23. You got to beat. More doable.
I got a 20.
Got a 20.
Have some inspiration. Go ahead.
Thanks for trying, man.
Reroll. You can have my inspiration.
All right. Are you sure, man?
Yes, I'm positive. I have luck.
Keep your inspiration. You're gonna use it. You're gonna need it, man.
Shit.
I
Come on.
wanna see what happens.
All right. You also should have inspiration.
You're choosing death.
I know I have inspiration, but I'm not using it right now.
The bird grabs you.
I'm still tied to you.
I got the rope, man. I'm good.
It's gonna use its.
I got the rope and the immovable rod.
It's gonna use its second attack to beak attack Gregor.
Oh shit!
It rolled a
You guys get out of here.
15 to hit.
Ah, my armor class is 20. Fuck that.
For the record, 15 is the second lowest roll it can roll. The rock's turn is over as Gregor narrowly dodges this bird beak. It slams into the bridge and starts to tremble once more. What do you do on your turn? Now encompassed by this creature that is dragon-like in size. Probably one of the biggest things you've ever seen before you. You see its snowy feathers kind of just encompass your entire vision as it's just dwelling over you. This massive, absolutely enormous creature. What do you do as Gwent has been grabbed by it? He's kind of being crushed in the talons.
He's screaming at you, "Get out of here, you old oaf! I know you're trying to die, but now is not the day."
All right, I'm sure you'll be fine. As he takes his hand axe out and kind of like cuts the rope between him and Gwent.
Oh God.
Wait, okay, that's fine.
Wait.
Okay.
Wait, don't!
So
That's good. We're good.
Too late.
Action, you cut the rope. Gwent is now free.
And I grab my rod and run the fuck out of there.
Okay. Are you taking you spent your action cutting the rope, so
it's just 30 feet that I get to move closer to the other side.
And provoke an opportunity attack.
Perfect. I'm gonna use cutting words.
All right. Girl, you're cutting words. They rolled a 27 to hit.
-3. Damn it. It hits.
All right. 22 damage.
Shit. All right, perfect.
Gregor, 30 feet of his 120 feet down. We're now at the top of the initiative where actually Dieter gets to go first before anything else happens. What do you do, Dieter? You're roughly 100 feet left of the bridge. Not roughly, actually, pretty much exactly since you moved 20 feet. Sophia, Kogram's 60 feet down the bridge. Sophia's only 30 feet, so 10 feet in front of you. And Gregor has just run past you and is basically just a couple feet ahead of you since he was the furthest back.
Okay, so weird question. Dieter probably wouldn't know this, but would he be able to guess if this thing understands like language, or would he just assume it's a big fucking bird?
Give me a nature check.
Okay, let's nature check. Well, that's actually pretty good. That's a 18.
So maybe through your studies at the temple, you kind of would have heard stories of this creature too, this guardian. Mm-hmm. Something believed by the barbarians, this kind of primordial force. Not a lot is known about what languages it would possibly understand or not. You would kind of get the feeling or the impression from reading that it more speaks on a spiritual level than actual language. So there's really like not much of a way to communicate it. It apparently just senses your I don't really know how to put this, your worth to be on the mountain, whether you deserve to be or not.
Well, that's shitty. Okay, all right. So first of all, Dieter is going to, let's see. He's going to Let's see. Is it an action to move this thing, or I'm pretty sure it's a bonus action. Yeah. Okay. So, is the rock within 20 feet of the flaming spiritual weapon sword?
Yes. It
Okay.
encompasses a lot of space.
All right. So he's going to move the sword towards the rock 20 feet as a bonus action, and he's going to swing at the rock, which that will probably not hit, but we'll see. That is a 16.
15's your mark on this bad boy. He might be massive, but he's pretty easy to hit.
Makes sense. All right. And he's going to take 10 points of force damage. The sword kind of chops into him a little bit, sending up a spray of feathers. And then Dieter is going to... Fucking shite. Dieter is going to, I guess, move... Can he move forward at all without leaving that 20-foot radius of the spiritual weapon? Because I think it goes away if I leave that 20-foot space.
You're probably pretty hard pressed now to move further away, and you can maybe move 10 feet away and kind of keep it in range, but that's getting a little bit sketchy. So if 20 feet makes it disappear, you're not moving very far along the bridge to keep it intact.
Shite. All right. He's gonna do that then. He'll just move the 10 feet, I guess, and shit.
On my spell thing, it says you have 60 feet.
Oh, do you have 60 feet?
Cool.
Yep, you're right. The range
Yeah,
is
so
60.
the bonus action, you can move it up to 20 feet in attack, but you
Cool.
get 60 feet of range.
Perfect. Thank you, Alex. Then, yeah, you're free to move your full 30 feet then.
Awesome. And then could I actually use could I dash away and be at like the very edge of the range, maybe?
Oh, I would say, yeah, it's true. So bonus action. So you move your 30 feet. That puts you roughly 50 feet away from the sword itself. So you could dash action and move another 10 feet and still keep the spiritual weapon, or you can just move the full 60 feet and it would disappear. So it's up to you if you want to keep it or not.
Kind of like the potential for distraction. So I'll just go ahead and move the 10 feet then.
All right. So I'm going to say that you move a total of 40 feet then.
Correct.
Which puts you as a total movement of 60 feet, which means that there is only 40 feet left until the end of the bridge for you.
Hooray!
Now, it's going to use one of its... Actually, the initiative 20 counts now. And with this creature pecking into the bridge, slamming into it, the weight of it, like a small, or actually pretty large building, you all feel a tremble underneath your feet. And then the stones in the middle start to peel away, sinking, falling into the abyss as the bridge, the Solenka Pass, this bridge has been called, is now starting to fall from the center. You see bricks start to peel away, dropping, quickly coming towards you all as we now have that to deal with. Luckily for you, Gwent, the bird just flaps its wings and kind of is now flying in the air above. But as you look down now, once with the safety of rope holding you in an immovable rod, you now just see that 500-foot drop, and you feel the power, the crushing talons of this creature squishing you. It is going to now use its legendary action to move, and with one powerful thrust, it rockets off in the direction towards the group. It's going to use a... No, it's not going to. It's just going to move because that's not its turn. Lied to you. It's going to move right above you, Gregor. Sophia's up next. She is going to... She's 30 feet, so if she moves a full 60 feet, she is basically at the end. And now that she sees that the bridge is starting to collapse, she is abandoning all kinds of offense and is just purely relying on speed. She is going to move her 60 feet, which puts her 10 feet away from the edge of the bridge. The creature now is going to have another legendary action. Good luck, Gregor.
Let's go.
Oh my God. I rolled a 16, which is the third lowest roll I can roll. Holy fuck.
Let's go.
It misses. Gwent, you're now up. As you're in this creature's grasp, you feel the power and speed of it fly, and then its powerful beak sinks into the side of the bridge, which is now starting to crumble around Gregor's feet. He rolls out of the way, picking himself up, this old man moving with a speed that you thought he no longer had. You just see the bricks kind of falling underneath his feet as he's trying to scamper along, run with every bit of energy it has, stopping the bridge collapsing from underneath him. What do you do in Etherdin's grasp?
Well, I can do the smart thing, or I can do the cool thing.
Uh-oh.
And I'm going with the cool thing.
Here we go.
Using my bonus
Famous
action,
words.
I am going to Misty Step from the claws of the beast onto the back of the beast.
Oh, God.
Not under the bridge, not away to safety. I'm Misty Stepping onto the bird.
Okay.
And then I am going to...
Do you know how... do you know the rules for climbing on a beast before I let you get too far in it?
I have no idea.
Because if you're going to start like climbing and moving around on it, it basically every time you want to move, have to do a contest against the creature.
Athletics?
Yeah, your athletics, and they can use acrobatics or dex. But
All right,
probably
that's fine.
Okay, as long as you know. Good.
So I do that. That's my bonus action. And then using my action, I will cast haste on myself,
Nice.
which gives me another action.
Yep.
And I will use that to stick it with my sword.
All right, stick it with your sword. 15's your mark.
That's a hit.
Do your damage.
And since I'm going Nova and spending all my spell slots anyways, I'll go ahead and dump a smite into that.
Okay, nice.
3.
I hope the cleric has Death Ward.
Here we go. So that's going to be... I didn't do Great Weapon Master.
All right.
So it won't be too much damage. Let's see. Oh, but that's... Oh, wow. Okay. That's good. 10. 31 damage. And so basically I disappear from the claws in like a swirl of radiant light. I reappear above this thing's head, holding my sword in 2 hands, like just above my head, and just drop straight into it and plunge the sword into its basically into the in between its 2 wings. Just
Nice.
Shah! 31 damage. Burst of radiant light explodes outwards, comes out its like beak, its open beak, like it shines with a glow of light for a second.
You hear
and I'm just there holding onto this thing on its back.
this tremendously, this burst of light energy kind of smashes against the creature's back. It lets out this terrible shriek as it does so. It momentarily kind of drops, descends. Its kind of chest, torso region slams into the side of the bridge, which is even more kind of close to Gregor now. You just hear the old man kind of running and cursing everything that he could possibly think of to give him more strength as the bird is now kind of momentarily slammed into the bridge, causing it to break a little bit further. It flaps again its wings. You feel the tremendous power of the creature. Now, that's it for your turn.
I got a move action, but I'm not going to use it right now.
Kogrom is up next. The creature spent all of its legendary actions for the round and can no longer do anything.
Can you light it?
Okay.
Hey, can I light it and it'll be okay?
Okay. So he sees Gwent. Instead of jumping to safety, he jumps further into danger. He's like, fucking Gwent. And he keeps running. He's going to try to get to the end of the bridge. I think he said they had like 60 feet left.
You have moved a total of 60 feet, so you only have 40 feet before you're off.
Okay. Then I will go... I'll go 30 feet, and I'll try to draw him away with Sacred Flame.
Okay. Dex save for the bird.
Yep.
It rolled a natural 1. Holy crap.
Womp womp. He takes 14 damage.
Beautiful.
Radiant, if that matters.
Okay. Creature's now up as radiant light kind of slams into it again, burning a blast into the creature's chest again. Gwent, you now with your axe so deeply embedded are just hanging on for that for like dear life, and you're almost kind of like surfing on the creature, holding your axe that's so deeply embedded in it that as long as you kind of stand still, you're pretty good. The creature nonetheless kind of momentarily flaps and tries to get you off its back, but it's not going to take an action to do so. So you're just kind of hanging on there. It's going to instead momentarily shriek at Gregor, but instead whip past him and fly towards Sophia. It's going to try to grapple her with its other talon.
We'll need to go through Kogrom.
True.
I was gonna say, do I get an opportunity attack here?
Well, actually, it can fly above you, and you and Sophia are basically at the exact same area. You're both 10 feet away from the bridge, so it can move into both your spaces without provoking opportunity attacks, because you both stand 90 feet towards the or 10 feet left. It's going to roll a 19 against Sophia's challenge. Let me open up her. She is going to roll a, oops, I rolled twice. A 16 only. So unless anybody has anything, Sophia is also going to be grappled. To which now, that's one of the creature's attacks. It's going to use the rest of its movement. So it moved, let me just actually track this so I'm not ripping anybody off. It moved a total of, Gregor was 30, so it moved 60 feet. It has a fly speed of 120, or holy crap, 120 feet. This thing can book. So it only used half of its movement to get to Sophia. It is going to fly up straight 60 feet into the air with Sophia and Gwent in hand. It provokes an opportunity attack from you now, Kogrom.
Do I have anything that can... I don't think I have anything that can help. All right. Yep, I swing at it.
All right, swing.
14 plus whatever my mods are. 21. Or not 21. 23.
Definitely a hit.
Alrighty. I'm not raging and I don't even have my crimson right, so it's just gonna be 11 damage.
11 more damage onto the strikes that already have been done. So you slice into this with what weapon are you using again, sorry?
Silvered axe.
Silvered axe, you chop
axe.
into it. Obviously a creature of this size, though, the wound kind of doesn't really seem to even seem that discerning to it. And then with a powerful gust, it just woof, takes up into the air 60 feet with like a couple of seconds. Gregor, you're now up.
How far do I have? Isn't it like 90 feet?
You're 30 feet, and so you have a total of, let me see here, 60 puts you at 9. You have a total of 70 feet to go.
Let's see, so that's 70 feet. All right.
Your full dash will basically put you right beside Sophia and Kogrom. Or no longer Sophia.
Oh, yeah, Sophia. Oh, jeez.
The barbarian formerly known as Sophia.
I'm going to move and dash.
Yeah.
As far as I can.
Reminding that obviously because the bridge is basically falling right behind you, so that's a very pressing matter. Nonetheless, all the crappy things that are going on. So you book it with everything you have.
And I'm going to use my action surge.
Nice.
To shout up to Gwent and say, "Don't die, you fucking idiot!" As I use Commander's Strike.
Nice.
to give him another
Here we
attack
go.
with an extra D8 of damage.
Extra D8 of damage. I like it. All right, that is a hit for 17 to hit,
Okay.
and an extra D8 of damage. Man, I really don't want to. I really don't want to die. I'm gonna go ahead and dump another smite into this.
Dump it.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's good. I got an 8 and an 8.
Beautiful.
16, 5, 10, 20, 26, 27, 28, 28 et 6, 34. 34 damage.
Nice. Let's see what that puts him at. Okay. Interesting. It lets out another bone-wrenching screech, flying in the air with power. You momentarily feel its wings give way. Gregor, is that the end of your turn?
Yep, that's all I got.
Dieter, you now are 60 feet away. A 40-foot movement will get you off the bridge. I'm going to tell you that after your turn, the bridge is going to become, immediately after your turn, the bridge is going to become a big issue for anybody still on it.
Shit. How far away is the rock?
60 feet in the air, so roughly, give or take that.
All right, so the spiritual weapon probably can't get to it because it can only move 20 feet, right?
Correct.
All right. Well, Dieter's going to direct his flaming spiritual weapon sword towards it, just the full 20 feet as a bonus action, and then let's see. He's going to use a guiding bolt because that's 120-foot range. So he basically, seeing Gwent on this giant bird's back, he sort of like freezes, and then he's like, all right, here we go. And then he's going to pull out his wooden symbol of Lathander, and it's like he reaches into it and pulls out this just ball of orange gold fire, and he launches it at the rock. See if he can actually hit with it, maybe. That's definitely not going to hit. That's a 12, but I'm going to use luck and re-roll that shit. Actually, you know what? I'll use my inspiration to re-roll that shit.
Cool.
That's much better. That is a 21 to hit.
That will do so.
All right, so let's see. That is 46 radiant damage. Let me get that real quick. So 46. That's not bad. So that's 16 points of radiant damage, and Gwen's next attack will have advantage. And then Dieter is going to move because that was an action. So he's just going to move his 30 feet towards the end of the bridge. So he's still about 10 feet away from the edge of the bridge.
So basically, all three of you now are 10 feet away from the bridge. And
Gotcha.
It's at this point, at the top of the initiative 20, that the bridge just really starts to give way and collapse. And you guys are basically running and combating, throwing bolts of energies, whipping your attacks, axes, cutting words, everything you have as you're just booking it across this bridge. And underneath your feet, you start to feel lightness. You start to feel the ground beneath you slip. These last 10 feet, in order to make it, you're going to need to make a dex save. And you don't want to fail this one too bad.
Danger sense?
Sorry, I'm not within 10 feet of you.
18. Let's go.
80.
19.
Oh, wait, are we making the saves now?
Yep.
Okay.
Or are we waiting until
Yep.
our turns?
No, your turn. 20 starts the final collapse of the bridge.
Well, no, I'm saying, so are we rolling the deck saves now to get that last 10 feet? We are?
Yep.
Okay.
I got an 18.
Nice.
I don't trust that roll. I'm going to actually use luck now to go ahead and re-roll that.
Okay.
Come on, around. Yeah, that's worse. That's actually a lot worse. Let's see. That's going to be a...
Uh-oh.
Yeah, this is pretty bad. This is a 7 is what that is.
Woo!
Hey, yo, you want some inspiration on that?
I would love some inspiration on that if I can.
Yeah, you can have mine.
All right. Nope, that is exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing.
All right.
Let's go. The fates have decided.
The bridge begins to collapse.
It was meant
Gregor,
to be.
Kogrom, you start to run. Dieter, you start to run. You feel it going. The run becomes more of a climb as the stones are starting to fall beneath you. You pick it up and you start to climb up this bridge, grabbing at what stones you can as they're peeling away at each one you grab. You pull, and then as a final last jump, Kogrom, Gregor, you jump. You land into the snow. You roll. You look behind, and you just see Dieter reaching, jumping. Stone breaks away, starts to fall. Luckily, you've made it to the last 10 feet. So the cliffside below you is not the full 500 feet. You start to plummet. The first thing you do is hit your head against a stone, jaggedy rock.
Can I do something before that happens? Do I have time?
Probably. What do you got?
All right. So as Dieter starts falling and realizes that this could very well be the end, let me just see real quick how long the casting time is. It's like 6 seconds. He's going to attempt to cast Death Ward on himself if possible.
Beautiful. You do so. Or yeah, I'll let you do it. That's
Okay.
what's fun.
Cool.
Give it to you.
So he just kind of touches himself. He puts his hand against his chest, and golden orange energy like spreads across his body as he hits his head against the first jagged rock.
First jagged rock, you take 13 damage. Give me another dex save at disadvantage.
Oh, tits. Well, actually, it's better. That's an 11.
11, your head smashes into the side of the rock. You try to grab at the cliff, but you're so shook by this that you can't even see straight. You're blurred. You fall another 40 feet.
Fuck.
Another 13 damage.
All right, so that knocks him out, but then he's back up with 1 HP because of Death Ward.
Plummet. You look up. You're now 80 feet below from where you fall. But as you take a deep breath, look around, your vision steadies, you momentarily look over and you almost fall off the cliff and plummet even further below, but you're just barely hang on and realize that you're in an absolutely terrible position. Sophia turn happens and she's going to just strike the creature. She hits and this creature looks like it's in an immense amount of pain. Gwent, it's now up to you.
All right. Gwent sees Dieter fall and kind of looks down and he just goes, "No, you stupid bird, you'll pay for this!" And he's going to swing all 3 of his blades, or all 3 of his attacks down onto this bird. And as he does that, he's going to use his bonus action to cast Vow of Enmity.
Don't forget to have advantage on the attacks.
To give himself advantage. Just on the first one, though, right?
Yes, I believe so.
And remind me,
he's getting
It's on all attacks for a minute.
Yeah, it's all
So
attacks.
for a minute, I get advantage on all attacks against the creature.
cool. Go ahead.
And all 3 of these are going to be Great Weapon Master.
So tell me, roll all 3 to hit first, and tell me if you hit.
All right.
You hit.
So the first one's a hit.
Yep.
The second one's a hit. The third one's a hit.
All right. So not even having to roll. How many are you going to put some smites into that? Actually.
No, I wasn't going to put any smites. That's 6d6 plus 16 times 3.
Okay. I'm just going to say because that's probably more than enough damage to kill it, or not kill it, but basically as you slam into this creature, you feel its wings kind of give out, and then the feeling of free fall. You and Sophia and this great protector of the mountain start spiraling down, falling at a rapid pace, and as you do so, slam into the side of the mountain.
Nope, I use my reaction.
Okay.
And as we're falling, I reach out towards Sophia, and we're just plummeting towards the ground.
Yep.
And like I see the ground approaching, and I know that the other guy just fell. And then I reach out to her, and I sort of touch her hand. And as I do, I kind of look into her eyes, and I see something there. And I'm like, "Oh shit!" And right as we're falling, a burst of yellow light emerges from his outstretched finger and creates like this sort of cloud in front of him. And right as he touches her finger, his fall just stops, but hers continues, and she plummets to the ground and slams into the ground as Gwent is casting Featherfall.
Okay.
That has you can cast it on 6 people.
I know,
Oh, all right.
Dang,
but
man.
Gwent doesn't. And he reaches out and touches her, and the energy just doesn't flow through. He just holds on in the air, just like arms flailing to his sides, and he goes down slowly.
All right. You slam into the side of the mountain, or the rock just poof, a huge plume of snow kind of erupts out as it lets out another shriek, and it just kind of falls into the snow. It looks like it can't fly anymore. It's just kind of flailing around. You're picking yourself up, Kogrom. You're picking yourself up, Gregor, and this creature has just fallen maybe 60 feet from you into a cliffside. You see floating above, roughly, what do you say? When did you cast Featherfall? How far from the ground?
Maybe 20. I mean, we were 60 feet up, so maybe like I had already fallen like at least 30 feet.
Yeah, so you could be probably pretty close to the ground if you want to be.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean,
yeah, so maybe you even just fall like last 10 feet, and then you just kind of fall and gracefully touch down to the ground. The creature tries to pick himself up and then falls into the side of the mountain again. It can no longer fly. It lets out another. And as it does so, you hear the mountain itself tremble. Rushing. Water, it sounds like at first.
Oh, fuck.
And then suddenly, above the cliffside, a canvas of white encompasses everything. The falling of Etherden has incurred the wrath of the mountain itself. An avalanche has begun. Now, it's 11 o'clock exactly. I wanted to get a little bit further than this.
Let's get a little further than this.
Okay. Everyone good with that? I know, Dan, you said you had like early
I'm
stuff.
good, man.
Now,
let's keep going for sure.
okay. Interestingly enough, where you fell, Dieter, is not the way the avalanche is going. So it's actually almost beneficial for you to be. There might be a couple saves involved, but you're kind of like not in the trajectory. So what's going to happen now is a skill challenge. This is going to be a very difficult 5 successes, only 2 failures as an option. Or you guys are going to be overcome by this avalanche. Now, I'm pretty sure everyone's played in the game with me. So the way I run skill challenge is you pick a skill that you're proficient in. You choose how it's going to be impactful on this scenario. And once you use it, whether it's a fail or a success, that skill can't be used by anybody else again. It's up to you to make use of your skills and get out of this plummeting, wrathful avalanche that is now descending upon you. Who's up first?
I'll go, but I got a question. Can I use like an action? Can I cast a spell?
Yeah, if you can make sense of it and make it work, then it usually works out. I'll allow that.
Perfect. I'm right next to Kogrom, aren't I?
Yes.
All right. So I rip out a strand of braided hair out of my skull, and it's quite painful. Just fucking, just, bloody tips and all that, and throw it at the ground beside me as I cast Rope Trick.
Nice, you son of a bitch.
Nice.
And yell at Kogrom, "Get inside, you fuck!" as I jump into the extra dimensional plane.
Beautiful. You son of a bitch, Bard. No, that's perfect.
I follow him.
You follow him.
Well, how far away are Gwent and Sophia?
Gwent is by no means near the rope trick enough to It could be risky, I guess. I'll give you a chance if you want, Gwent, but I'll tell you that running towards that rope trick will be pretty dangerous for you. And Sophia, you feel since she kind of fell right with the bird and she's stumbling to pick herself up and struggling, she has little to no chance to make it.
I want to pick up Sophia.
You want to pick up Sophia?
Yeah, and like if she's, I mean, I don't know how much damage she took from that fall, but that was a pretty big fall.
Yeah, it was a big fall for her. She is definitely not moving very quick. She's going to be more of a burden than anything.
Yeah, so I'm going to basically pick her up and just like look at her with wide eyes and just shake my head and say, I'm sorry, I did not know what happened. And then I'm going to run, and I'm going to try to use athletics to get out of to run out of the way of the avalanche.
All right, so that's the first check as Gregor's completely null and voided the skill challenge. First of all, before you roll that, does Kogrom do the same? Or do you go to help? You see Gwent trying to help Sophia, and Sophia's limping, and she's trying her best to move. You doubt that those two on their own will have a very good chance of making it out of this. So you're forced with the decision of climb up the rope trip or go and help and brave the avalanche. Another trial.
Yeah, exactly. That's what he's thinking. Yeah, Kogrom's going to use one of his rages as like the adrenaline just kicks in. He's going to run over and try to help.
All right, so first, Alex, Gwent, what's your roll?
All right. Here we go for athletics. And I am making my way towards Kogrom in the rope trick. Like what I thought is like the beast like attacked Kogrom and then went straight 60 feet up into the air. Is what I had understood. So I'm probably pretty far because I drifted or something, but I feel like I can't be that far, you know?
No, you're not that far. Carrying a limping girl, I'm going to say regularly it would be like it could have been a dash for you and a check, and you could have made it. But now with the girl in hand, it's going to be like potentially 2 full turns, which is very risky. It's going to be cutting it extremely close.
All right. I'm going for it. Athletics. 18.
18. That's a success. Just barely. What did you roll, and what did you use, Kogrom, with athletics now being taken out?
Oh, fuck. I'm really good at athletics. I was going to use that. Let's see here. I will use. Can I use a Constitution check?
Explain how.
Because he needs to run over there and just like keep his adrenaline going.
Okay, I'll allow it.
Essentially, like, he needs to fight through the fact that he was just sprinting off that bridge and just work through.
Yeah, you're exhausted.
That
but you have to hope that this adrenaline can carry past that exhaustion.
Exactly. All right. Okay. What's this called? Flat plus con 19 plus proficiency.
Success. 2 successes. Now, Dieter, you kind of fall in a weird place for this. There's snow that's starting to fall down pretty aggressively, but if you tuck yourself against the cliffside, kind of breathing so, all you need to do is survive a couple of tumbling rocks. Now, that could still be pretty dangerous. So, going to need 1 check from you to just basically ignore, and this is kind of its own separate thing.
Gotcha. So still a skill check of some kind?
Yeah, you tell me how you're going to be useful in avoiding the mountain kind of crumbling beneath you and huge chunks of rock and ice are falling and breaking away ledges that are kind of above you and stuff. So it's pretty treacherous. Luckily, falling was actually kind of beneficial for you.
You know, except for the part where I slammed my head against a jagged rock. So question, could I use some kind of spell to heal myself first? Because I have 1 HP right now.
That's the danger. If you don't, if you heal yourself, totally allowed. But then rocks are going to be falling on you, and you'll have to deal with a check or a save.
Yeah, but I might be able to survive a failed save if I have more health than 1 health. So
All right, go for it and risk it.
Yep. Dieter is going to, let's see, what is the biggest fucking shit I have? All right. Yep, we're going to do that. So Dieter kind of presses himself against the stone wall, bleeding profusely. He's like vomiting blood a little bit. And he manages to like gasp out this strangled prayer to Lathander as he uses, he's going to mass cure wounds himself.
Nice.
Because he is in desperate need right now. Let's see. So that is 14 plus 7, so 21, so 24. That's
Follow that immediately after with a dexterity saving throw.
delightful. All right, it's 24. Okay, dexterity saving throw, you said?
Yep.
Come on, motherfucker. All right, going to be using the second point of luck for the night because apparently I can't roll tonight. That's better. That's a natural 20.
Oh, nice. So basically you chant and pray to Lathander. This healing energy sweeps over you. Your lungs start to breathe again. You feel the cracked ribs kind of repair themselves. You wipe the blood away from you. Your head kind of clears as the minor concussion starts to go away. You look up and there's this giant chunk of ice just falling right towards you. You know that there's nothing else to do but jump. So you just literally jump on the side of the mountain. That ice slams into the ledge that you're on, completely breaking it. You're kind of free falling for a moment, going through the air, and then you grab onto a ledge. It breaks away and you start to slide down. You kind of punch your other arm into the side of the wall and just feel the dirt kind of breaking away, and then momentarily you're just standing, you're holding, looking down above. You've caught yourself in the side of this mountain, now dangling many feet above, or the ravine below. You've managed to make your save and are momentarily spared from the chaos of the avalanche. Nonetheless, though, that brings us back to our other people who are trying to avoid it. We have 2 successes. Now, what I will do, because you guys are kind of... I'll say that if each of you both make 1 more success, then you guys get into the rope trick. So instead of 5, 4 successes.
Okay.
All right, I have one. I have a skill that I want to use.
All right.
So I am sort of Sophia is kind of limping beside me, and I'm supporting her. And I'm going to just scream at her like, "This is not how this is not how we die. We are going to make it. You see that? 40 feet away now. Run!" And he's gonna shove her forward, and he's actually gonna use persuasion to inspire her to run on her own, and so that he doesn't have to carry her anymore, so they can all make it. And so my check is persuasion.
Yep, give it. That works for me.
And as he does that, he says, "Run, sister, run!" And that 1 on the die, and I'm gonna go ahead and use my inspiration. Okay. 13.
13. That's our first fail. You push her, and she tumbles over. Clearly, her leg is broken. You're yelling, "Run, sister, run." She falls into the snow, and momentarily, Sophia, her presence changes before you. It's that of Abigail. She's laying on the ground, and she's crying out for you to help her as the snow is kind of falling all around you. You see that it's quickly starting to come down in a way that's going to be even more difficult now to get to the rope trick. It's starting to encompass both of you, sliding past your legs. You're momentarily knocked over. You pick yourself up and try to climb towards her. It then goes back to Sophia. You realize that it's not Abigail, and we have 1 fail. Only 1 more fail left, and this is a botched skill save. Kogrom, you're running towards with every bit of constitution you have to get to them, and you're just a couple feet away, and you see Gwent push Sophia. She trips over. He's trying to persuade her, but her leg's too broken. She falls. What do?
Kogrom is just going to like scoop her up like a little girl. Like he just yells out to Gwent, "Not leaving you to die!" I guess to both of them out loud. He's gonna use survival.
Okay.
Because he's been caught in an avalanche before.
Absolutely.
he would use it twofold to figure out, okay, which parts of the avalanche are hiding like boulders and shit that's gonna wreck our shit if he doesn't time his run correctly. And number two, if he doesn't make it, looking for any places that would have like some sort of pocket farther down towards the ravine. Trying to remember if there were any ledges off the edge.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Survival +7.
Come on, man.
21.
21. So with that check and grabbing up Sophia, you realize, kind of calming your mind and looking at this avalanche. You've been through this before. You know how to survive. You know your path. You can make it to the rope with Sophia. The only problem is with that survival check, you see where Gwent is. And you know that he has little to almost no chance of making it now.
I have an idea. I have a necklace of fireballs.
Okay.
So like as he's he basically has her like fireman carrying her. He's gonna reach under his like poncho, his like thick tunic, and he just whispers,
You know, there was a time that I needed to use this, old man. Didn't think it would be in this situation.
and he pulls out a bead, and he casts Fireball to try to push back the avalanche to buy Gwent time.
Okay. Interesting. We're going to do that in a way where Gwent, in order to be effective, you're going to have to put Gwent in danger. You know this can work, but you also know it's a slim chance. You know it's his only chance. So he's going to have to make the deck save against the fireball. But this is literally all the only thing
That makes sense.
possible.
Yep.
Give
All
me.
right.
You look back, Gwent, as you're just being taken over by the snow, and you see Kogrom grab at something, take off a bead of this necklace, and chuck it at you. Tiny bead, red thing kind of flows through the air, and it starts to grow and grow as it does so. This massive fireball plumes out in front of it. Give me a deck save as it slams right in front of you. This heat encompasses you again.
DC's 15.
Natural one.
Oh no!
I love it.
Oh no! Wait, can I try something? Maybe, I don't know. Nope.
Fire totally encompasses
Damn.
Gwent. You lose sight of him. The snow
Take
just kind of
26 fire damage.
overcomes him. You know that was his only chance.
How much?
You run.
How much damage?
26 fire.
Fuck.
Are you down?
We've only failed one save though, right? I mean one check, right? Of the two that we're allowed to?
That is so bad that it was like basically if
It counts as like 5.
it counts as like a fail basically, but it was your other chance was to make an incredibly high DC. So you failed. The last thing that Kogrom sees is the plume of fire kind of disappear and the snow just slam into Gwent and completely encompass him. You go into the rope, you pull yourself up. You don't know if he made it or not. You know that was his only chance. The snow comes from you and you kind of close the rope chip off or whatever, and you're just in this extra dimensional plane. Gwent, for you, it's cold at first. You feel, or that's actually burning hot at first. But then that's immediately snuffed out by a powerful slamming cold force that takes you off your legs. You're blown one way by the fire and then instantly caught in the avalanche. You momentarily grab onto a stone, you pick yourself up, but another slam of snow hits you in the face. You grab onto something else, and as each pull you take, the snow is just covering you further and further. You're clawing at the snow. You're pulling, you're digging, but nothing. It's the weight is crushing you, crushing you. You gasp, nothing. Snow starts to fill your lungs, and then darkness. Complete and utter cold. Nothing but the void of blackness. And then you hear a voice. Moments pass, hours, an eternity, death, perhaps, but then a voice. Brother, I'm so cold. I'm so afraid. You're no longer trapped under snow. You're in a dark room. Standing in front of you is a child like Abigail. It's a dream, a memory, perhaps the afterlife. She looks at you, and you're also a child. We've made a terrible mistake. We should have listened to Father. We should have listened to our mother. We should not have come here. A small, childlike Abigail stands in front of you. You're kind of looking around. Don't know what's going on. You're still your adult self, but you're in your child body. And you just see Abigail standing there in a small wolf cloak, shivering feverishly. And then, as if completely surrounded by darkness, just encompasses you and blots out Abigail. You're just taken by this and pushed around, slammed into things. You feel your bones breaking, and you're trying to swim through this darkness. You see the fading shadows of Abigail and your childlike self. You're now ripped out from that body and actually in your like kind of third body spirit state, and you're climbing through this snow, this dark void. You don't know what it is, and you're trying to catch up with this memory that is fading away. You're pulled forward, though, through this dream. Blotted kind of slurs and words are heard. It's muddled. You can't hear it, and you're struggling to hear someone's talking to your sister and you. Maybe you're talking to your sister. You can't tell. And then suddenly you catch up, and the conversation is over. You feel your lungs empty. You try to escape this nightmare, but nothing. And then suddenly, bursting out, you feel something grab onto you, pull you further into this darkness, and then that's it. Just nothingness. Moments pass, nothing. And then suddenly that dark force pulls, sinking you into the darkness even further, but then an eruption of light comes. Your eyes can't take this light in all at once. You take a huge breath in. Air fills your lungs. You see now that not darkness grabs your wrist, but a hand. You're pulled out, and you see the face of Kogrom grabbing you, pulling you out from this avalanche. You don't know how much time has passed. Kogrom, it's been hours. You thought for sure you would never find him again. Gwent, exhaustion completely overcomes you. But as you come out of this, what you thought death, dream, memory, one thing embeds into your memory. Everything else fades away like that escaping dream, but this one thing embeds into your mind. It's the last thing that you heard Abigail said. And she said, "Brother, promise me. Promise me we'll never speak of this day again. For mother, for father, for everyone else, let's never speak of this day again." Give me a con save.
25.
No matter what, through that agonizing, life-threatening avalanche, you still have 2 points of exhaustion to deal with. Luckily, with that constitution now, your life is saved. Kogrom, we snap back. You come out of the road trip, and you guys are momentarily buried by the avalanche too. You dig your way up, Sophia, Gregor. You inevitably eventually find Dieter on the cliffside, hanging on, and you meet, and you all look for Gwent. How between the four of you did you find him?
Do you still have slots for what's it? Scrying?
Dieter does. He has one more slot left at 5th level.
Mm-hmm. I think. How would Kogrom know?
Honestly, I feel like after what he just went through after the fall and nearly dying, I don't think Dieter would be in the right state of mind to cast. He would probably just be, as soon as you told him that Gwen was missing, he would just be frantically like just shifting through the snow like a total idiot. Because he is in no way, shape, or form in his right mind at this point, I don't think.
Yeah.
So give me a survival check right now, Kogrom.
All right. He got a 16.
16. Basically, what you do with your survival is you know that fireball, the immediate heat, and then the clash of the snow almost made like this ice-like cocoon. And it kind of buried Gwent, but it did so in a fashion that wouldn't crush him under the weight of the snow. So with your survival and kind of expertise of surviving avalanches before, it takes you a while and you guys almost give up hope. But hours pass and you finally find Gwent. Gwent, you were quite sure that you died. That memory that you had, all of it is gone except those final words. You can't believe your eyes, your friends stand in front of you, beaten, broken, but there, you're still alive. And a forgotten secret has kind of been revealed to you now. A memory, something from the past that you've blocked out up until now.
The first thing that he says when he sees Kogrom's face behind whatever weapon he's using as a shovel, like
An axe.
an axe. You start pulling on him and he just kind of looks up and his eyes are like staring off in the distance, like almost like staring through you. And he goes,
Told you I wouldn't leave you to die.
I saw her when I was falling. It's the last thing I remember. But and she was there and she reached out to touch my hand, her finger. But it wasn't so. And when we touched in that moment, her magic, it saved me from falling. I saw it in her eyes. I do not know if it is a good thing that happened. Maybe I should have died in that avalanche.
Well, you did.
Maybe I am dead.
The sun is now glaring off the snow as you guys find yourself in this kind of makeshift aftermath of the avalanche. You place your hands on your brow to try to block out some of this blinding light. It's rather difficult to see, but in this instance, across the opening of snow, you see the facade of some kind of temple carved into the sheer mountainside ahead. The front of this structure is 50 feet high, and it has 6 alcoves containing 20-foot tall statues. Each statue is carved from a single block of amber. It depicts a faceless, hooded figure. Its hands are pressed together in a gesture of prayer, a gesture of ritual. You don't know. Between the 2 innermost statues of this 20-foot, it is a 20-foot archway, sorry. And you see this archway with a staircase leading down. The Amber Temple now in front of you. The group starts to head towards it. The size of this mountain kind of embankment, like this carved-in temple in the side of the mountain is absolutely huge as you approach it. And you guys just look tiny in retrospect against the actual towering size of these faceless, hooded statues that seem to be almost judging you or calling you in. You feel a sense of another trial beginning. Kogrom, you know that this will be the hardest one yet. As you get closer and closer to the temple, Dieter, your foot slips on something. You reach down, you look, and there sits in the snow, buried, a black leather book with a yellow flower on it. You pick it up, and you're overtaken by a memory yourself. Take me back to a very busy day that Dieter had. Something that was absolutely like over, just kind of bearing on him, and he didn't have much time to think, and he was extremely stressed out. Take me back to that day.
So actually, probably when he was first inducted into the clergy of the Morning Lord, you know, it was quite a big to-do. He was a fairly well-known member of the community, but there was a lot of preparations to be done. You know, there were vestments to be measured out. You know, there were certain tithes that needed to be paid. There were arrangements that needed to be made. You know, preparing holy water, all the rituals, the pomp and circumstance. And Dieter, who comes from a couple generations of potato farmers, was not used to any of this. So he was struggling to keep up with all the demands of the church and the burgomaster and everything.
Absolutely.
So yeah, he was definitely stressed.
Probably the most stressful day that Dieter's had since this up-and-coming past few days.
Yeah.
But you're getting ready. You have your cleric outfit on for the first time, and you're trying to look presentable and figure out if this is how you're supposed to look, if this is what you're supposed to do. And a small Gabby comes running forth, and she kind of calls at you, but it's at the worst time. It's like minutes before you're supposed to make this presentation in front of the Thander and basically pledge yourself to the church. And she tells you she has to tell you a secret or show you a secret. And you tell her, like, not now, Gabby or Gabriella, just tell me what it is. And she says that she can't tell you. She has to show you. But it's at this point that the abbot walks in and tells you that it's your time to walk down the aisle and pledge yourself. You tell her that she'll have to show you later then, for this is too busy of a day. You just remember this memory. It just comes to you now for some reason. You didn't even remember it up until this point. And you look at the book and you flip it open. And at first it's casual kid stuff. But as you flip through, there's one with this dark figure looming over a picture of Abigail, drawn in kind of like stick figure like child. And this figure is completely dark, and it has this long kind of black hair and these glowing yellow eyes, and it's kind of standing over top of Gabriella. And then written underneath in kind of this childlike writing, it says, "Daddy, the yellow-eyed lady has entered my head. She won't go away, and she tells me I must keep her secret, or else bad things will happen to you and to Mommy. She keeps telling me all kinds of secrets, Daddy. Bad ones. Please help cast out the darkness with the light of Lathander." Your heart kind of sinks. You turn another page and you see another message. "Daddy, the yellow-eyed lady got mad at me today. She knew when I tried to tell you our secret. I must go now. She sees through my eyes. She says I must leave now, or she will tell me all the bad secrets about you and Mommy. I'm sorry, Daddy. I'm scared." That's the last entry she ever made.
Dieter closes the book very slowly, and he looks over at Gwent. And if Gwent were paying attention, he would just see this look. It's a weird look. Like, it starts off like, I don't quite, and then it just hardens into this face of like, this is a person who would kill someone, would kill anyone to to save his daughter from whatever this is. And he's, of course, heard the stories about this yellow-eyed woman who he now knows as Abigail Markov. And he just sort of tucks the book in his belt and keeps walking, but his hand is just clutching the pommel of his mace tightly as he just marches towards the temple without saying anything.
And the group does so. They march towards the temple. They're beaten, they're tired, they're bloodied, and they're broken. Kogrom, as this temple quickly approaches, is each footstep. You remember the last time you were here with a large force of your tribe, strong, healthy survivors. You remember what happened in the best of situations. And now the 5 of you enter this amber temple in a broken, exhausted, and beaten state. And that is where we'll end it for tonight. So, thanks for playing, guys. That was a very exciting session. Great job by everybody. Anyone who didn't have an inspiration by the end of it, gang inspiration for the next session. You guys are definitely going to need it as we enter the Amber Temple. I'm not sure when we'll get this next session in. Maybe we'll discuss this after the chat. But anyways, you guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you for playing. Thank you for anyone who tunes in and watches. And until next time, we will end the session of the Forgotten Secrets as many of memories have been reminded. Peace out, guys, and until next time.